Morning all. All right, so we are up to the 2021-2022 season. I'm wearing an Avalanche jersey for the third time in this series, and as you can see, I went with smaller magnets. We're up to 32 teams in the NHL at this point. The divisions, the way that they've been since we got back to a full 82 game schedule, and it was a grind. It was tough to get those full 82 games in. There were delays and postponements, but they got it done. So in the Atlantic, Florida's the story. They end up number one overall, record of 58, 18, and 6. 340 goals scored, 246 goals against, 122 points. Under Joel Quenneville, they were 7 and 0. Quenneville's out. With Andrew Burnett, 51, 18, and 6. This is the year, of course, that all of the fallout from the Kyle Beach investigations, because multiple, starts to drop. So Joel Quenneville ends up being out in Florida, and we'll get to other news as well when we get to that part of the board. In Toronto, they finished 54, 21, and 7, 115 points, 315 goals scored, 253 goals against under coach Sheldon Keefe. The Tampa Bay Lightning, 51, 23, and 8, so 110 points for them, 287 goals scored, 233 goals against. John Cooper, still the coach, of course. Boston, 51, 26, and 5 record, 107 points, 255 goals scored, 220 goals against. Bruce Cassidy, the coach there. Below the playoff line, we find Buffalo, 25 points out of the playoffs, 32, 39, and 11 record, 232 goals scored, 290 goals against. Don Granato, the coach in Buffalo. The Detroit Red Wings, 32, 40, and 10 record, 74 points, 230 goals scored, 312 goals against. Jeff Blashill, the coach in Detroit. The Ottawa Senators, 33, 42, and 7 record, 227 goals scored, 266 goals against, 73 points for the Sens. DJ Smith, the coach there. In Montreal, they're 22, 49, and 11, 55 points, 221 goals scored, 319 goals against. And after going all the way to the final in 2021, they just crash out. Dominic Ducharme, 8, 30, and 7 at the time he's gone. Marty St. Louis goes 14, 19, and 4 the rest of the way. The Metropolitans won by Carolina. They finished 54, 20, and 8. So 116 points for them, 278 goals scored, 202 goals against, coached by Rod Brindamore. The New York Rangers, 52, 24, and 6 record, 110 points, 254 goals scored, 207 goals against. Gerard Gallant, the coach there. Pittsburgh, 46, 25, and 11 record, 103 points, 272 goals scored, 229 goals against. Mike Sullivan, the coach in Pittsburgh. Washington, 44, 26, and 12 record, 100 points, 275 goals scored, 245 goals against. Peter Laviolette, the coach. This is the first time also in NHL history that a conference has had all 8 qualifying playoff teams record 100 points. Below the playoff line, you got the New York Islanders, 37, 35, and 10 record, 84 points, 231 goals scored, 237 goals against. Barry Trotz, the coach in New York. Columbus, 37, 38, and 7 record, 81 points, 262 goals scored, 300 goals against. Brad Larson behind the bench for Columbus. The New Jersey Devils, 27, 46, and 9 record, 63 points, 248 goals scored, 307 goals against. Lindy Ruff, the coach in New Jersey. Almost did say captain. The Philadelphia Flyers, rough year for them. 25, 46, and 11 record, 61 points, 211 goals scored, 298 goals against. Under Alain Vigneault, 8, 10, and 4 record. Under Mike Yeo, things get worse. 17, 36, and 7 record. So he doesn't have a positive effect in taking over as he had in St. Louis a few years before that. We go out west in the Central. Colorado, 56, 19, and 7 record, 119 points. So second overall. 312 goals scored, 234 goals against. Coach, of course, by Jared Bednar. The Minnesota Wild, 53, 22, and 7 record, 113 points, 310 goals scored, 253 goals against. Dean Evison, the coach in Minnesota. St. Louis, 49, 22, and 11 record for 109 points, 311 goals scored, 242 goals against. Craig Berube, the coach. And you can see with the amount of teams with 300 or near 300 goals for or against, scoring is back up. Dallas, 46, 30, and 6 record, 98 points. Rick Bone is the coach, 238 goals scored, 246 goals against. Nashville makes the playoffs, 45, 30, and 7 record, 97 points. 266 goals scored, 252 goals against. John Hines, the coach in Nashville. Below the playoff line, we've got Winnipeg, 39, 32, and 11 record, 252 goals scored, 257 goals against, 89-point season. This is where Paul Maurice steps out. They were 13, 10, and 5, and Maurice is like, I think I'm done, so I'm out. And Dave Lowry takes over. They go 26, 22, and 6 the rest of the way. Chicago, 28, 42, and 12 record, 68 points, 219 goals scored, 291 goals against. Jeremy Colleton had a rough start, 1-9 and 2 record. Derek King takes over, 27, 33, and 10 the rest of the way. The Arizona Coyotes finished last in the Central, 25, 50, and 7 record, 57 points, 207 goals scored, 313 goals against. And Andre Tourigny is the coach in Arizona. In the Pacific, the Calgary Flames finished 50, 21, and 11, so 111 points, 312 goals scored, 234 goals against. Daryl Sutter, the coach in Calgary at that point. The Edmonton Oilers finished 49, 27, and 6, 104 points, 290 goals scored, 252 goals against. They switched coaches during the season. Under Dave Tippett, they're 23, 18, and 3, and then Jay Woodcroft takes over, and things go pretty well. 26, 9, and 3 the rest of the way. Still surprised he doesn't currently have a job in the NHL. The LA Kings, 44, 27, and 11 record, so 99 points. 239 goals scored, 236 goals against. Todd McClellan, the coach there. Only 3 teams make it in the Pacific, of course, because 5 made it in the Central, so below the playoff line rests the Vegas Golden Knights. For the only time in their history, they missed the playoffs. Had to pause for a sneeze there. All right, Vegas goes 43, 31, and 8, 94 points. 266 goals scored, 248 goals against. Pete DeBoer behind the bench for Vegas. Vancouver, 40, 30, and 12 season, 92 points. The Canucks charged, but they faded late, didn't quite make it. 249 goals scored, 236 goals against. Travis Green goes 8, 15, and 2. Bruce Boudreau takes over. Bruce, there it is, was the phrase uttered a lot in Vancouver. They go 32, 15, and 10 with Bruce Boudreau behind the bench. And I was there for a lot of those games. It was fun, but that was before tickets went through the roof. San Jose, 32, 37, and 13 record, 77 points, 214 goals scored, 264 goals against. Bob Bugner, the coach for San Jose. Anaheim, 31, 37, and 14 record, 76 points, 232 goals scored, 271 goals against. Dallas Eakins, the coach in Anaheim. And Seattle, in their first year, they do not get the amount of trades from other teams in their expansion year that Vegas did, and so they're not as good. They finished 27, 49, and 6, 60 points, 216 goals scored, 285 goals against. Of course, they're coached by Dave Haxtell. So, for Seattle, it is, a first season that's a success compared to most of the expansion teams that came along in the 90s, and, of course, Minnesota and Columbus in 2001, 2000. But again, everything compared to Vegas, right? So February 3rd, the Anaheim Ducks named Pat Verbeek as their general manager, which I still think is a good move. The funny thing is, I already see a lot of people, he's in over his head. He's only been on the job for a little over 2 years. October 26th of 2021, Stan Bowman steps down as general manager in Chicago, as the Kyle Beach investigation finds that he was, and the whole at fault thing gets thrown around a lot. But Stan Bowman, I thought it was the right move for him to step down, and he was out of the league for a few years there. December 6th of 2021, the Canucks fire Jim Benning. Alvin was named general manager January 26th of 2022, and the worst kept secret there was. We kept hearing how Jim Rutherford was, Alvin was the guy he wanted. August 19th of 2021, Glendale decides not to renew the Coyotes' lease. So that means that at the end of the 2021-2022 season, the Coyotes are looking for a place to play, and that's where they head out to the Mullet. And we know, of course, that's not going to end well. December 9th of 2021, playing for the Chicago Blackhawks, Marc-Andre Fleury reaches 500 career wins. February 15th of 2022, Sidney Crosby scores his 500th career NHL goal. April 7th of 2022, Austin Matthews sets a record. His 56th goal in a season sets a U.S.-born player's record. So he ends up with 60 that season. This is also the year that ESPN gets the U.S. broadcasting rights, which has been a boost for the NHL financially as well as for their profile in the U.S. You get on ESPN, you're mainstream down there. Now they have to stay on ESPN. July 23rd, 2021, the Coyotes, they trade Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Connor Garland to the Canucks for Jay Beagle, Louis Eriksson, Antoine Roussel, a 2021 first, which becomes Dylan Guenther, a 2022 second, and a 2023 seventh. This was a move made by Jim Benning in desperation to try to fix the team because they're close. They're close. He swears they're close. It was always the way he saw it. And trading away the Beagle, Eriksson, and Roussel contracts, which were expensive for fourth liners. And sadly, they had to throw in the draft pick that became Dylan Guenther. But again, that's a trade that looked bad right away. July 24th of 2021, the Sabres trade Sam Reinhart to the Panthers for Devin Levi and a 2022 first-round draft pick, which they used to draft Kulik. And what's interesting, too, is that, so Reinhart goes to Florida. Florida wins the Cup in 2023. Well, they would trade Eichel to Vegas. Vegas won the Cup. Or no, 2024, Florida wins the Cup. 2023, Vegas wins the Cup. So which former Sabres winning it in 2025? Because there's got to be another. And, of course, 2019, Ryan O'Reilly got it in St. Louis after being traded out of Buffalo. So get traded out of Buffalo. Win yourself a championship. All right, the Art Ross Trophy that year goes to Connor McDavid of the Oilers. The Masterton goes to Carey Price of the Montreal Canadiens. The Calder Trophy goes to Moritz Seider of the Detroit Red Wings. The Conn Smythe goes to Cale Makar of the Colorado Avalanche. The Selke goes to Patrice Bergeron of the Boston Bruins. The Hart Trophy goes to Austin Matthews of the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Jack Adams goes to Daryl Sutter in Calgary. The Norris Trophy goes to Cale Makar of Colorado. The Lady Byng goes to Kyle Connor of the Winnipeg Jets. The Ted Lindsay Award goes to Austin Matthews of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He also wins the Rocket Richard Trophy, so Matthews getting himself some hardware a couple years back. The Jim Gregory Award for GM of the Year goes to Joe Sakic of the Colorado Avalanche. The Vezina goes to Igor Shesterkin of the New York Rangers, and the Jennings Trophy is shared between Freddie Anderson and Antti Raanta of the Carolina Hurricanes. So your league all-stars that year. At center, Austin Matthews of Toronto's first team, Connor McDavid of the Oilers' second team. On the left side, Johnny Gaudreau of Calgary's first team and Jonathan Huberdeau of Florida's second team, which just makes it more fascinating that both Gaudreau and Huberdeau switch teams. And then we get to another all-star who's going to switch teams too when we get to the right side. Mitch Marner of Toronto's first team and Matthew Tkachuk of Calgary is the second team all-star. So a lot of league all-stars that get moved around. It was in 2022, right? Anyways, on the blue line, Roman Josi of Nashville, first team, and Cale Makar of Colorado, also first team. On the second team, Victor Hedman of Tampa Bay and Charlie McAvoy of Boston. The goaltending, Igor Shesterkin of the Rangers, first team, and Jacob Markstrom of Calgary, the second team all-star. So Connor McDavid does win the scoring race. 80 games, 44 goals, 79 assists for 123 points. Johnny Gaudreau in Calgary, 82 games, 40 goals, 75 assists, 115 points. Jonathan Huberdeau, 80 games, 30 goals, 85 assists, 115 points. Leon Draisaitl with the Oilers, 80 games, 55 goals, 55 assists for 110 points. Kirill Kaprizov in Minnesota, 81 games, 47 goals, 61 assists, 108 points. Austin Matthews in Toronto, 73 games, 60 goals, 46 assists, 106 points. Steven Stamkos, 81 games, 42 goals, 64 assists, 106 points. Matthew Tkachuk in Calgary, 82 games, 42 goals, 62 assists, 104 points. JT Miller in Vancouver, 80 games, 32 goals, 67 assists, 99 points. Mitch Marner in Toronto, 72 games, 35 goals, 62 assists, 97 points. And then we get to the goaltending after rounding out the top 10 scorers. In terms of wins, Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky are the top guys. Bobrovsky in Florida, 39-7-3 record, 913 save percentage, 3 shutouts. Andrei Vasilevsky in Tampa, 39-18-5, 916 save percentage, 2 shutouts. UC Saros in Nashville, 38-25-3 record, 918 save percentage, 4 shutouts. Darcy Kemper in Colorado, 37-12-4 record, 921 save percentage, 5 shutouts. And Jacob Markstrom in Calgary, also 37 wins. He finishes 37-15-9, .922 save percentage, and 9 shutouts. That's a lot. So we get to the playoffs. In the first round, Jake Ottinger did everything he could to get Dallas past Calgary. It didn't work. Calgary wins that one in 7. Colorado sweeps Nashville. Entertaining series, but over kind of quick. Florida beats the Washington Capitals 4-2. The Rangers beat Pittsburgh 4-3. And for Florida, I believe that's the first series win they'd had since 1996. So it had been a while. Again, the tax breaks didn't help Florida for a very long time. The New York Rangers beat Pittsburgh 4-3. The Edmonton Oilers beat LA 4-3 as well. St. Louis beats Minnesota 4-2. Tampa Bay in a thriller beats Toronto 4-3. And Carolina beats Boston 4-3 as the Bruins have some struggles in the playoffs. Second round, Edmonton beats Calgary 4-1. Sadly, the Battle of Alberta, a little bit lopsided. I wanted it to go the full 7. Colorado beats St. Louis 4-2. The Rangers beat Carolina 4-3. And Tampa Bay sweeps Florida. So the Battle of Florida kind of over quickly there. Then the conference finals. It's Tampa Bay and the Rangers. The Rangers win the first game 6-2, and they win the second game 3-2. So what does Tampa do? Well, they answer. They win at home 4-2 or 3-2, I should say, and 4-1. Then they go to New York. They win 3-1. They go home and win 2-1. So they win 4 straight after losing the first 2. Out west, Colorado does not mess around. They win the first game 8-6. They win the second game 4-0. Then they go to Edmonton. They win 4-2. And then 6-5 in overtime to sweep the series with Edmonton. Some controversy in there, sure, but in the end, Colorado just too much for the Oilers to handle. And so we have Tampa Bay and Colorado in the final. Third straight Stanley Cup final for Tampa Bay, of course. Colorado wins the first game 4-3 in overtime. Colorado wins the second game 7-0. But Tampa Bay bounces back. They win 6-2. Then Colorado wins 3-2 in overtime. So Tampa Bay has to win in Colorado. And they do. They win that game 3-2, and then Colorado wins in Tampa Bay 2-1 to win the Stanley Cup in 6 games. In that Stanley Cup final, Mikko Rantanen with 8 assists, Cale Makar with 3 goals and 4 assists, Valeri Nichushkin 4 goals, 2 assists for him, and Nathan MacKinnon had 2 goals and 4 assists. Darcy Kemper a .908 save percentage in the win. Andre Palat had 3 goals and 2 assists in the final for Tampa. Hedman had a goal and 4 assists. Stamkos 2 goals, 2 assists. And Nikita Kucherov a goal and 3 assists. Andrei Vasilevsky, .905 save percentage in the Stanley Cup final. So highly entertaining, but the Avs end up being victorious as we get back to 82-game seasons from then going forward. So there you go, the 2021-2022 season. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.